Well, thank you very much, and yes, it's great to be back in town. Because after all, Earth has finally realigned to its proper axis, all thanks to the lever we have been applying to the planet these past 4 months. As in, IES anniversary at St. Hill in England, check. New Year's event at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles, check. And now for the first time since the unnamed began, LRH's birthday event at the Ruth Eckerd Hall in Clearwater, Florida, yes, check. Factually, it's been both a marathon and a whirlwind. A marathon as regards these past few years and the most important training program in our history. A whirlwind as regards the sprint to the finish line these past few weeks and the unequivocal launch of an unprecedented future. So, if ever there was a moment that captures the spirit of what just transpired, well, this is it. An LRH birthday celebration wherein we present what he most wished for, that perennial gift of expansion. And never was it more appropriate than now and tonight, in the wake of a year when that word expansion has now become synonymous with eternity, and where the wellspring of eternity itself is source. So, albeit been said before, let it be said once more, if beings can be anywhere, then LRH is everywhere, and all you have to do is look at what's immortal. All naturally begins with continuing acclaim as an author of timeless scope, wherefore comes another touch of LRH magic for all to follow in his footsteps. Witness his Writers of the Future legacy now celebrating its 40th year, and which yet again just hit #1 nationwide. While for every other path he carved in Washington, D.C., where LRH famously made history as America's youngest Eagle Scout, and where today the United States Congress commemorates 100 years since he blazed the trail for new generations. In the Philippines, where LRH discovered wonders inexplicable to the Western world, and where, in honor of his wisdom, a High Sultan just declared LRH a rarely designated royal chief. Then there's Africa, where he fought to throw off the chains of oppression, and where, by mutual decree from 3 supreme rulers, comes a sacred leopard skin bestowed only to royalty by royalty, and cemented by 2 proclamations in honor of that next great civilization, and for bringing the might of your sea organization to Africa. While from halls of influence all over the rest of this civilization, scholars, cultural institutions, religious authorities, civic leaders, government agencies, and even federal legislatures, all told amounting to more than 1,000 recognitions in the name of LRH, all since we last met. His humanitarian profile likewise looms larger than any year in memory. LRH study technology has revolutionized learning for 50 years, bringing the gift of literacy to more than 64 million students, and so earning universal acclaim on this golden anniversary of empowering educators. His technology for drug rehabilitation is another saga of planetary scope, fueling a delivery system double anything on global treatment grids, and so propelling a U.S. Senate recognition for saving countless lives. Finally, there's his technology for kindness and morality, now cascading out in virtually every language of Earth, and that's how the river becomes the sea, as better than 140 million booklets flow into the ocean of humanity, and so inspiring a United Nations tribute for restoring decency, honor, and self-respect. So yes, in appreciation of his legacy, we honor the mandate to think big, broadcasting his technology on more platforms than ever in history, driving the curious to binge our network at double anything on record. While as for the action definition of going big, that was our message just last month on Super Bowl 2024, the biggest telecast in U.S. history. What's more, when all ads for the big game were stacked against each other, who stole the show as most viewed? An airline? A new car? No, it was Scientology. But if you want to know just how curious people are, out of more than 900 million channels on YouTube, we just shot into the top 0.1% with 250 million views. Yet when talking astronomical numbers, that's his route to the stars and LRH tech in our golden age. To wit and to date, the volume of all his books and lectures in circulation, laid out end to end, would wrap this planet 150 times over. And so, opening the floodgates to our golden age of tech, phase 2. Scientologists advancing through the entire academy to class 5, rocketing 7 times over. Those ascending from purif to clear, likewise booming 7 times over, whereafter they soar from clear to new OT7 at 13 times anything in eternal history. But of course, a true planet requires that last, most important LRH mandate, think in futures, and here's our gift of target attainment. Ribbons falling non-stop since our IES anniversary at St. Hill for our ideal UK Sea Org base, next in Copenhagen, and not just one ideal facility, but 2 for our all-ideal European Sea Org base. Then in Africa, opening the newest Narcanon for an all-ideal continent, at which point expansion went positively stratospheric as our ideal org galaxy morphed from 73 to 74, then 75, and 76, an avalanche of gifts to light the afterburners on perpetual expansion. And yes, that's why I say, welcome to this LRH birthday celebration 2024. As is befitting on this night of nights, we will present what LRH most wished for on his birthday. Not only a birthday game that signifies expansion, but also the expansionist destiny as fueled by his technology, and all as manifested in ideal orgs. But why understate it? Truth is, you can mark tonight as a watershed milestone from which we will never look back. Moreover, it's a milestone with exponential ramifications. It began with the golden age of knowledge, no less than the recovery and restoration of LRH's chronological track of discovery, from Dianetics to Scientology, and the very foundation of the bridge itself. Then again, with everything from a guide chart to a guidebook, it will never be lost again. Moreover, for the old-timers among us, I invite you to speak to some newcomers, those who have entered Scientology since the golden age of knowledge. Yes, they will be confused, but what they'll be confused about is this: why you were ever confused. So yes, the golden age of knowledge was a milestone from which we'll never look back. Next came the golden age of tech phase 2, and here we are talking the bridge itself. Today, one can travel the bridge from its entrance gates to the state of clear in the very time frames LRH delineated. Moreover, and even more pertinent to planetary clearing, we can train 100% standard tech auditors with absolute certainty and anywhere on Earth. So yes, a golden age of tech phase 2 was the next milestone from which we have never looked back. But even still, there yet remains one final component to the full golden age equation. And in all truth, this final component is the linchpin. All of which is to say, it complements and amplifies all others, ultimately bringing the entire golden age to fruition. And yes, as of LRH's birthday tonight, we have achieved liftoff in the name of the golden age of administration. And let there be no question, this is the final component in the grand equation for planetary clearing. Golden age of knowledge, golden age of technology, ideal lords, this is the one that brings them all to full blossom. And I'm not merely speaking of one's individual ascent up the bridge on the first dynamic, but rather the golden age of administration is an ascent up the bridge on the third dynamic, or as LRH further described, third dynamic admin technology creates the organization necessary for the 100% standard application of first dynamic auditing technology. In other words, keeping admin working is synonymous with keeping Scientology working. And yes, that is why we launched the most important training program in our history, and indeed the toughest course in Scientology. The organization executive course, comprising a study of every policy on the composition and functions of a Scientology organization, followed by the flag executive briefing course, comprising a study of every management series policy, and all to a 100% pass on examination. All of which returns us to that phrase, golden age. Because lest you think this golden age of administration merely represents a training program, then let me now complete the picture in technicolor in terms of recovery of lost technology, unrevising curves and alterations, and even completing LRH's vision for materials he said would arrive way up the line, a line which has now arrived. Beyond that, it is... Beyond that, it is one thing to describe the sum and substance, the whys and wherefores, and quite another to experience it for yourself. In other words, as this night belongs to LRH, then it's once again time to hear it from him. And so, to set the stage, the location is the flagship Apollo. Executives had come from orgs far and wide. After a 2-day sail, the ship docked at daybreak off the northwest coast of Africa in Funchal, Madeira. Students are once again assembled around the desk in his research room, whereupon it begins, the technology of the establishment officer. And so, I give you LRH from the confidential lecture, Form of the Org.
The essence of an organization is postedness. Our organizations are built of people. And we're not trying to turn people into machines, but I can give you an analogy, that is, say something similar example, in a motor, electric motor. Now, the power of a motor depends upon the base. It does not depend on the terminals. It depends on the base. It is the thing that holds the terminals apart and holds them in position. That is to say, the bottom plate of the motor, the concrete floor of the plant on which the motor is built. Now, in the field and world of physics, this has been totally neglected as a factor and is a new factor in physics. It's the base. And that stiff base, rigid, holds the terminals apart. And you get a positive terminal and a negative terminal. And the fact that motion occurs there, cutting that field, is what generates power. But if it weren't for that base, and let me call to your attention, if it weren't for that motion, there wouldn't be any power generated at all. Now the org board is the base. That is the base. Like the concrete floor on which the electrodes and so forth of the motor sit. That is the base as far as you're concerned. So long as that base transmits itself over to the concrete or wooden floor of the building the org is in. Now if you notice, an org board flows from the left to the right. The org board is built that way to flow the public. Now because it flows the public, what do you know? The erosive action of the public flowing by, and it is a sort of an erosive action like a river going through a plain will eventually cut a gully or a canyon. It always pulls off a few rocks off the edges of the canyon, takes them along. That's that. If he's confused on his post, anybody can confuse him. So the public traffic that is naturally confused, just in themselves, and if you have a confused staff, why, the staff goes into little whirlpools and flows on down the airport and boom, off the airport. So it's one thing to have that org board up on the wall, and another thing to get it down on the concrete floor. But if you don't, the org will not develop any power. Those are your first thoughts. Form the org. And make sure that the post is producing what it's supposed to be producing. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat, and we're off to the races.
So yes, the org board is not only the stable datum upon which all policy is aligned, but it is also the base of the organization, and without which the organization cannot generate any power. So yeah, one could say the org board is fairly important. Consequently, no sooner had we compiled the new Golden Age OEC and FEBC courses than we next embarked on another Golden Age project. The situation was this. First, we had in our possession many LRH org boards dating back to the 1950s, which were easily verified as on source. Reason? They were in his own handwriting. But moving closer to present time, the last such org board in his own handwriting dated to 1967. Now, of course, LRH wrote a lot of policy after 1967. And beyond that, LRH also issued many directives modifying the org board, creating new posts, and accommodating new functions. However, when a comparison was made of the present time org board and the last fully handwritten LRH org board, well, There was no comparison. Now, that's not too surprising. After all, LRH had written some 19 years of policy since his last handwritten org board. Nevertheless, there was only one handling, the same handling as was done for all other golden ages. That is, a meticulous review of everything LRH ever wrote or said on the design of organization, from the very start in the 1950s all the way to the last policy he ever wrote. In other words, a full chronological review. Let me show you what I mean. Here you can see a graphic example of the chronological layout tables that exist in the physical universe in our LRH compilations division. The project included a chronological study of every LRH issue, lecture, dispatch, chart, note, you name it, isolating every post LRH created, noting any and every LRH modification, expansion, or cancellation of any and every post or post function, executing specific LRH modifications and refinements of the org board, and so step by step drafting the org board with LRH policy and data and ignoring any additions or alterations by others, and all resulting in the Scientology org board, 100% LRH, and the centerpiece of the golden age of administration. Now, while those graphics flew by in about 45 seconds, let me assure you this was a massive project. In fact, we're talking a review of 10,000 plus LRH issues, not to mention another 187,000 chronological files to discover anything LRH ever wrote or said regarding org boards, and all totaling at least 20,000 man-hours of research. But what's a few hours of work when you were talking about the restoration of pure source for all time? Or for that matter, when you now have, for the first time ever, the LRH organizational pattern to take us to eternity. So yes, you can mark this one up as both the erasure of a third dynamic reactive mind and the blueprint for a new civilization. And on the off chance you think I'm overstating it, well, let me show you the before and the after. Here you can see the org board prior to our Golden Age project. Don't worry that you can't read every word. I am not trying to give you a tutorial. Rather, the changes are so blatant you can't possibly miss them. Now, check out the red. All of that is what was discovered to not be LRH, and consequently has been removed from the org board. Next, check out the green. All of that is what was discovered to be missing from the org board, but which actually is LRH, and hence has now been included on the org board. And yes, that's a 100% on-source org board. Done. But if that's the org board and what LRH describes as the first thoughts of an FEBC executive in the name of holding the form of the org, there yet remains all else LRH said in terms of making sure the posts are producing what it's supposed to be producing, rat-a-tat-tat. And for the full substance and meaning of that, I once again give you LRH to the students of the FEBC.
the field, third dynamic auditing, administrator handling the group. He has what is called administrator TRs that cut through the noise, the chatter, and the aberration, and get the action done that he has specified to be done. And it works on the basis of, every time, stable data and confusion problems of work. Because the hatted person can stand up to the confusion and the unhatted person can't. So how do you back off the confusion out of the organization is you well and efficiently and accurately hat the people. What confusion can you confront? And into what confusion can you hat? And that is the test of an administrator. So we do have the processes necessary to resolve the confusion. They do exist. Who runs these processes? He's the auditor of the art. Only there's a thing called a sane establishment, and he mustn't go in the same direction that an auditor goes. An auditor reduces the bank to nothing. Must not have an administrator reduce the org to nothing. He's not trying to run the org out, he's trying to put it there. But if he can mock things up, and if he can hold a position in space, and if he can fix things, and if he's determined to put the organization there and bring order in it, if he can confront a confusion without Q&A, if he can hat somebody, why, he's quite a guy. He's quite a treasure, actually. Because these abilities are there. Because he's basically an auditor to the organization. He audits out all the confusions in the organization.
The hatted person can stand up to the confusion, and the unhatted person can't. As LRH further describes in an accompanying HCO policy letter, hatting equals control. If he can control his post, he can hold his position in space, in short, his location. And this is power, LRH. Now, of course, one could say that is the entire point of the FEBC program, and no doubt, these executives have been hatted within an inch of their lives, which is to say they are now trained as third dynamic auditors, which in turn means the session now begins for the rest of the organization, and all towards an end phenomenon matching these words from LRH. Only an org at cause can reach and control. Thus, a fully hatted org can be at cause over its environment, can reach and control its fates and fortunes. To just that end, we arrive at the next component of this golden age of administration. Namely, if you want a fully hatted organization, it first requires the hats themselves, meaning the courses that hat the staff members. Yes, orgs have had hats of one sort or another. But even so, add in the factor of a new org board and the precise delineation of every post on that org board, including all new posts that never appeared on any previous org board. Such is the circumstance LRH predicted when he said, so a central authority has to standardize post check sheets and survey and put in overlooked bits of data, but that is way up the line. Well, as of tonight, that way up the line is upon us. So you want a dream scene for an org executive and staff member? Well, here it is. full hat courses for every org post, beginning with Department 1, encompassing every single post in that department, and so it goes, hat after hat, across the length of every department, across the width of every division, across the entire org board, until you are looking at a first in history hats for every one of the 183 posts in a Scientology organization, and now an unqualified golden age of administration done. On the org board, golden age hats for every post on that org board, all of which brings us to the final element, competence. And for the authoritative definition of that one, I once more give you LRH to the students of the FEBC.
If you're tremendously well organized, you can not only survive, but you can expand. But what you have to know in order to do this, and what the technology has to consist of, and how well you have to know the technology, exactly determines the amount of expansion you're going to attain. So therefore, it isn't enough for you as an executive to know how to do all this. You've got to be able to relay it, train it, check people out on it, and handle it. Now, if all of this was going on, and if somebody was putting their hats on, and that sort of thing, I'm afraid you still wouldn't have anything. Because the other side of the coin is production. Now, what is all of this training and so forth about? To attain production. That is what that is all about. So, the other half of this coin, production, supported by the first half of this coin, organization, gives us the coin. Now, production is the evidence of the demonstration of competence. Now, after you've gotten all the case gain there is, how do you get any other gain? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Well, actually, it goes case gain right up on the line to a cross line, and from there on it is competence. Competence is what gives the case gain. Your case gain goes up to this line, and then from there on up it is competence. Actually, the competence sets in coincident with the case gain. Then the demonstration of competence is the basic factor of morale, and production is the evidence of competence. So we've got all the tools in the world. All we have to do is know those tools and get those tools applied.
And to just that end, knowing those tools and getting those tools applied, we near the finish line of the training program. Because having completed their studies, the FEBC's next embarked on what you could call the postgraduate FEBC apprenticeship. And while I could show it to you, we'd be here until tomorrow morning. But either way, all you need to know is that it sources from LRH's final admin technology development and what he termed the upper level tools of management. Moreover, it is no less than the bridge between a profound course room study of all the tools to the nuts and bolts on the ground application of said tools. Then again, FEBC graduates were connected with every international dissemination activity, which in fact are an exact parallel to what is built into every ideal org. And if perhaps I am understating the magnitude of that apprenticeship, well, you will soon hear a lot more. Well, for now, the time has come to take a final, all-embracing view of this most monumental evolution in all our history. The program's immense size demanded a night shift to accommodate all students, effectively taking over the entire flag building. As of tonight, students number more than 800, with new teams arriving by the week. The curriculum begins with the Organization Executive course, the OEC. It comprises a study of every policy on the duties and functions of every division on the org board, more than 1,600 issues in total. To date, better than 600 students have completed, and yes, with a 100% examination pass. Whereupon they advance to the Flag Executive Briefing course, the FEBC. And if only to remind you why it is called the toughest course in Scientology, the course is studied 3 times through, beginning with Method 2 word clearing on all materials, averaging 270 hours per student. Next comes Part 2, star rate checkouts on all materials. That is nearly 500 star rates per student, or a cumulative 200,000 to date. While Part 3 is fast flow, it nevertheless requires a full study of all materials from beginning to end, and once more the passing grade is 100%. In full, before graduation, every executive in training completes more than 50 course check sheets, making for a cumulative 25,000 since program launch. Next, those executives embark on technical training, and specifically, the tech courses and auditing they will administer in their portion of the org. Professional TRs, upper indoctrination TRs, professional metering, and academy training from Class 0 up to Class 5, New Era Dianetics. Still more trained as professional word clearers and professional course supervisors. It's the same again for public division executives responsible for administering public TRs, Book 1 seminars and co-audits, and more still for personal efficiency. All of which leads us to that ironclad LRH mandate: we don't let FEBC students go unless their cases are flying, and guaranteeing compliance is a core of 50 flag auditors. Hence, in the name of general case advance, executive trainees have completed 1,600 grade chart steps, including more than 100 attaining the state of clear while on the program. Thus follows auditing for executive qualifications, and that's the false purpose rundown with another 300 completions thus far. Finally, capping it all is superpower, now at 260 completions and counting. Total it all, and to date, the FEBC student body are the beneficiary of 250,000 hours of flag auditing, or an average of 500 hours per student. But for the one that takes us to the mountaintop, that's the 11th of February, when 171 executives step to the stage as the first FEBC program graduates, so marking liftoff of this golden age of administration. And yes, that marks an epic milestone in whole track history. Yet for all that, there remains a concluding word on the FEBC training program, And in the end, it's the one that matters most. Because for all I've just shown you, none of it can describe the first-hand experience, nor the first-hand account of what they are now responsible for bringing to the world. And so I give you the first graduates in this golden age of administration, and here they are.
The world has never seen this before. This has never existed before.
All vectors, all energy flows, they're all aligned now together. There's kind of one big generation of power streamlined in one direction.
I have this level of competence, which is completely above case game.
What I could accomplish now would probably look to someone else like magic.
All I'm gonna do is send the stats skyrocketing. That's all I can do. That's all I've been trained to do.
We know the laws and stable datums of organization down cold. We are superpowered.
You're just close to source. You just feel the power of that. It's like limitless. We will reach the stars.
In history, we've never had all these execs of such high admin trained, high tech trained, high case level ever in the history of mankind. In this universe, ever. Is thinking big, thinking in futures. That's what this program is.
We're Class 8 administrators, we're Class 5 auditors, pro suits, pro workers, superpower completions, FPRD, post-purpose clearing, and so we are just completely supercharged.
When this journey began, we all came from around the world. We got briefed by Chairman of the Board, and we embarked on the OEC.
I literally experienced myself going through the org board as I went through the different divisions throughout the OEC. I then got the full picture, actually, for the first time ever, of what we actually are doing. It felt like I was going up the bridge just from reading policy, because it just for myself changed me as a being.
LRH is giving me the blueprint for how an org goes together, and then I got to become an architect, and I could put together this model, how the org should be and how a particle could flow through.
Just like how an auditor knows exactly what to do and has the next yes for his session. As executives, we have the next yes for our organization. Every single minute, hour, day, week, month, we know exactly what we're doing.
When you're on the OEC, you're able to go into the org and see it like in a 3-dimension, and then you go to the FEBC, where being an executive and policy itself became part of my beingness.
It's hard to describe for me personally what the FEBC program did, because it changed everything. It changed the way I think, it changed the way I look at the org, it changed the way I look at the world. My viewpoint has been totally shifted to an unsourced LRH viewpoint.
So we went from a state of thinking that we knew to realizing that we didn't know to, by the end, you know that you know everything at an instinct level.
As an FEBC graduate, I have spider senses for the org. Like, I can see anything that's happening and know, like, oh, that's what's gonna go wrong, and fix it before it's even a problem. There's nothing that I can't handle. There's nothing that can come at me, whether in life, on post, on any dynamic, that I don't have the training to be able to confront and fully handle.
From having studied all the green and white, thousands of pages, and then you do all the tech training up through class 5, you get this like unshakable reality that this is a religious experience. This is a religious movement.
And it's not an ivory tower type situation. At this point, we really know, and we can do all the functions that need to be done in an org.
And the next step was the apprenticeship. So we all went as a team, and my viewpoint on like the order of magnitude and what we're actually doing to clear this planet totally changed.
It's like the apprenticeship of apprenticeships. This is something that is not done anywhere on the planet.
We've studied from LRH exactly how to make sure everything is just perfect. And then we see it, see
see the production line in real time. We're right there seeing it happen, going through the lines. It's the most in KSW thing I've ever encountered in my life.
When you walk into a facility and you see the policy letter that you just recently read embodied in the physical universe, you can really relate what you studied to real life.
The way that it's laid out, you really see the org board in action. It's like laid out on the concrete floors, like we learn about in the FEBC.
Literally, it is flow lines incarnate, and it's amazing because it translates perfectly into what we do in an org with people and particles.
It doesn't matter if you're in a publications organization or a dissem center or a media production. They accomplish the same functions of the posts that ideal orgs share with them. It parallels.
So when you go to the lines and you do the hats and the drills, you're actually doing the things that you would do in your own org, but on a huge scale.
So after getting drilled, hatted, apprenticed, I now know what it takes to run every single post in the organization better than the people below me. And that's exactly what an executive should be.
I cannot wait for someone to say, oh, you can't do that. Yes, you can, because I did it and I was timed. So I know you can do it.
In relation to international Scientology and the entire group, I've never felt so connected.
We have a powerhouse that we can actually plug into. We've been running off AAA batteries. We've actually got this mega generator that never runs out of energy.
And then the day comes and, you know, we get told, okay, it's time.
We knew that we were going to be getting a briefing, and the anticipation building up to that was electric. There was a buzz in the halls, my heart was pounding.
I walk into the auditorium and you can just feel the atmosphere, and the next minute, chairman of the board, RTC, walks out. And he is giving this presentation on the brand new org board.
You can feel the whole room, every single individual in there is having the same reaction of flabbergasted. The org board is so perfect that you're reading and I'm like, oh, this is here, well, this is where it's supposed to be.
Exactly like, you know, you study in policy, it flows perfectly.
You take someone from one awareness characteristic all the way down that department, right into the next awareness characteristic.
You know it, damn cold, like dynamite. You can sit down there with a pen and draw that entire org board perfectly from memory.
Everything that we've been trained on, this was the final thing to make it all go.
We have the building, we have the hats, we have the org board, which is our map.
You have that with your AC, you have that with your FEBC. We hit the ground, we're running.
He's like, okay guys, like, you're gonna fire soon. I hope you start packing.
We are going to be able to run with all of our tools, everything that we've now learned on this program, wrap society and say, this is the session.
Yeah, set up for single size and beyond.
We've always been like, think big, but it's never been this big.
You've never seen the birthday game being played the way it's going to be played.
We've invented a whole new league, a whole new tier of players.
Lights are turning green and the checkered flag is going down.
And we will drive out like rolling thunder
to fulfill LRH's goals.
Across the planet, not just in one individual area, or one org, or one zone.
I'm honored to be able to be a part of history like this. We're going to be telling stories about it hundreds of years from now.
I don't think there is a superhero movie that can compare to what we're about to do. So watch out, because we're coming to the planet and we're going to clear it.
And with that, we arrive at FEBC program Destiny, that crowning moment, the finale to which everything and everyone has been headed. But this is not an ending. It's the beginning of the next glorious chapter in our golden age of administration. And so, here you have it. One launch after another, history unfolding over a breathtaking, pulse-pounding 6 days. We begin with a group representing the land down under from Australia's first ever ideal org, the FEBC executive team of Melbourne. The Aussie executive team is 18 strong, all of whom are trained auditors, and they'll tell you that's truly bonza. A full 9,500 miles from flag, the team hit the ground with the certainty of green-on-white gods, heralds of a new all-golden age beneath the Southern Cross. So that's Melbourne's FEBC executive team done. This next group comes from the land of kings and queens, but no one's more royal than London's FEBC executives. Numbering a unified 12 with 9 clears and OTs, they rule over both day and foundation orgs, and needless to say, their kingdom is nothing less than the center of the English-speaking world. Returning to their ideal org on Queen Victoria Street, London staff and public hailed Britannia's first golden age of administration force. And so, that's London calling with an FEBC executive team done. Then there are those who descend from Valhalla with the power of Norse gods, Denmark's FEBC executive team. Their band of 16 counts 7 clears and 6 OTs, not to mention both day and foundation EDs are new OT8. They oversee a mythic realm in one of the happiest countries on earth and call a landmark ideal org home on Europe's longest and busiest walking street. As the Viking saying goes, there is a time for everything, and so this is the time to proclaim Denmark with an FEBC executive team done. Next is an ideal org clan from the Bonnie land of the brave, the FEBC executives of HAPPY. HAPPY stands for Hubbard Academy of Personal Independence, the name LRH conferred upon this org, along with the motto, a cannier Scot is a triumphant Scotland. These canny Scots are the first to fire with future ideal org premises on the horizon, and that's Edinburgh's 60,000 square foot structure, just a rugby kick away from Scotland's national stadium. They return with a fully headed executive director, org officer, and executive establishment officer, and the entire team are also Golden Age of Tech Phase 2 auditors. So yes, that's HAPPY with an FEBC executive team done. How about a team from the iconic City by the Bay? That's the FEBC executives of San Francisco. By the numbers, they total 18 with no less than 6 clears and 8 OTs, led by solo NOTS auditor E.D. Day and new OT8 E.D. Foundation. Together, this team brings more than 300 years of staff experience to the Golden Gate City and to their world-famous landmark home, the original Transamerica building. So there you have it, a world-class ideal org now with a world-class FEBC executive team done. Then there's a team from a magic kingdom right here in all ideal Florida, the FEBC executives of Orlando. In a city known for magicians and sorcerers, her roster comprises 11 newly empowered wizards of admin tech, including executive directors Day and Foundation, a new OT8 and Clear, respectively. And now they can wield their magic in the name of a cleared Central Florida, and this magic is real. So that's the city beautiful Orlando with an FEBC executive team done. Next come those who ply the coastal waters at the gateway to Latin America, the FEBC executives of Miami. They now sail with a seasoned 12-man FEBC crew that includes no less than 11 clears and OTs. Of course, their org is forever etched in Scientology history, thanks to an unforgettable note from LRH. The one that reads, "When I think of an org, I think of mighty Miami." Well, they're on a course to live those words as an FEBC executive team done. And finally, there's what you might call the hometown team. Because these are the FEBC executives of Tampa. It's another one that boasts big numbers, as in 17 clears and OTs and 17 classed auditors. Their Ybor City home is the historic heart of Tampa. But lest you forget, this org tracks back to that first test and the very genesis of our ideal org movement. Now, here's their next test to make history all over again. So that's Tampa with an FEBC executive team done. And with that, we arrive at the next chapter of this evening's event, although actually it's more like 3 chapters. 3 cities, 2 countries, 1 glorious reality. The moments that our golden age of administration perfectly sync with our unrelenting ideal org crusade. And let me tell you, there ain't ever been anything like this. The first all golden age orgs as never before, all in 9 whirlwind days. So, in the name of giving LRH the gift he most wished for, the gift of expansion, here are your next history-making duns. We begin on the 24th of February in what's bound to be the first cleared country, the country of Texas. We're talking a place where nobody just walks, they never saunter, they downright swagger. So if you ask anyone in these parts, how hot is it? They will tell you it's Texas hot. And now nowhere is more sizzling than the city of Austin. Standing front and center is the living definition of Texas tough. Austin's 13-man FEBC executive team led by 3 new OT8s and 7 clearers. This is the top executive structure of both day and foundation orgs, all of them now infused with superpower. And with cowboy grit and golden age certainty, Austin's team is ready for the ride of their lives. They are charged with Longhorn Spirit, the mascot of the University of Texas, which stands directly across the street. That arguably gives Austin the title of best located org on Earth, and if you think that's a little bit of hyperbole, well, as they say in Texas, it ain't boasting if it is true. In a building larger than 50,000 square feet, her reception embodies Texas hospitality, whether you're a student, musician, a techie, or wherever you've come from. Needless to say, with some 50,000 students just a stone's throw away, she's ready for a whole lot of introductory services. The same can be said of Austin's Hubbard Guidance Center with everything it offers, and her Lone Star Purification Center, for cowboys and cowgirls to get back on the path to happy trails. Her array of auditing rooms is ideal for those soaring to the state of clear, where, despite the glorious visage, the view is on you. Meanwhile, more than 200 students of all ages can train in her academy course rooms, whether they come from across the street or across the county. Then her Heart of Texas Cafe serves up a Tex-Mex cuisine for those traveling the trail up the bridge or the curious just stopping by to check us out. Austin's expansive chapel with its adaptable stage can serve as both a hub for empowering community action meetings as well as a live entertainment venue. Finally, there's the LRH office and a living testimony to this dream fulfilled. And indeed, it's 10-gallon hats off for Austin and her 140-strong day and foundation staff. So there you have it, your new ideal org and Church of Scientology, Austin. Just as everyone remembers the Alamo, they'll surely never forget the sunny afternoon when Austin finally shed her ribbon. The event drew thousands of locals as well as visitors from what Texans call those other 49 states. The opening commenced with a hometown balladeer and Freedom Medal winner, Lee Spiller, singing My Church, their anthem for an Austin ideal org. In addition to international executives, local dignitaries taking the stage included Mr. Mike Mahone from the University Area Partners Association. He's as all Austin as they come, devoting his life to uplifting those in his capital city. Mr. Sam Price, a City of Austin Health Department veteran. He's all about creating a healthy future for Austinites with the truth about drugs. Ms. Simone Talma Flowers, Executive Director of Interfaith Action, Central Texas. She passionately pushes for peace and unity through multi-faith collaboration. And lastly, Mr. Nelson Linder, President of NAACP Austin. He lived the battle for civil rights and now continues to fight for universal rights. Then there were those who stoked the fires to build this Texas hot ideal org. Prominent among them, gold humanitarians and rock stars Sadie and Eric Toohey, gold humanitarians and Texas tough new OTA and FEBC graduate Stephanie and Russ Croman, two more gold humanitarians, new FEBC graduate Sheila Springer and Tracy Springer, platinum humanitarians and Austin executives, now FEBC graduate Liz and Sean Sievert, new civilization builder, their forever inspiring Elena Villarreal, new civilization builders Rich Wood, and new OTA FEBC ED Day, the operatic Julie Wood, new civilization builder with honors, the phenomenal Celila Travers, and gold civilization builders, the ever subtle boss lady and boss man Stacy and Jim Sass. Whereupon thousands stampeded across the threshold as headlines proclaimed, new Scientology star rises in Texas's all-star capital of Austin. Well, for a sense of it, I give you the day when the country of Texas was branded as the first all-Golden Age org in history.
The University neighborhood and this great city, welcome to your new Church of Scientology here in the heart of the city of Austin, Texas. Now, for those of of you who aren't from Austin, this town is a university town. In fact, you could say the University of Texas is where the youth of our Lone Star State grow up. And so the University Neighborhood Partners Association, we consider it our responsibility to harness the potential of our community. We work to keep our neighborhood at the front of the pack when it comes to, well, everything. And today I'll make a little on our pride in celebrating another big step in keeping our neighborhood the best of the best. Hook 'em hard. Remember, on the backbone of an ongoing community effort, which is another way of saying you have shown an inherent understanding of what our residents need with a passion and care, and create a thriving, active community. While this today is your grand opening, we celebrate the return of a major player to this university area. So what I should really be saying is, welcome back.
You know, when it comes to reputations, our community have a history with drugs. Every day they come straight up 35 and take a right turn onto the Austin streets. I have seen so many victims fall prey to drugs. I was telling myself, enough. I gotta find more information, more ways to help. And when something happened, amazing. I found some drug education panels at one of our health department events, and I told my wife, can you believe it? This is it. This is the missing piece. Now let me be clear. I'm talking about a drug-free world. From the onset, our attitude was, let's educate people. We got that truth about drugs information out to everyone, in the neighborhood churches, at our Take a Loved One checkup events, and even beyond us, all over Travis County. No one else did what we did. And that means, thanks to your support, thousands who never had the choice to be educated now have the choice to say, I'm going to be drug-free.
I've loved seeing you in action. For our Interfaith Red Bench Conversation program, you have hosted discussions conducted with empathy and kindness. For our Passport program, you have visited houses of worship, increasing understanding and interaction. Through it all, you have been pillars of devotion and dependency. And upon those pillars, we have now built the largest interfaith movement in all of Central Texas. Trust is a founding principle of our interfaith movement. But from where does that trust come? It comes from letting people know they are being seen, heard, and valued. Your founder, Hubbard, called this granting of beingness. Well, I feel all of that and more when I engage with you. Indeed, that granting of beingness is an ability that has the power to bring vibrancy to any society. So let's all decide to grant a whole lot of beingness.
A just society requires sacrifice and commitment. In fact, a great man once said, injustice is not something in which any man with power should ever trade. That was Hubbard. Mr. Hubbard started the 40s the concept of true justice for both visionary and green. Let's face it, the Islamic law also place empowerment in the former Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's only enough to spread awareness and knowledge of our 30 rights into schools and universities throughout Central Texas. It's just one of the reasons I'm here today. Because there are now 5,000 more bright young Texas souls who can say, I know my rights, and there ain't no way I'm forgetting. So, if your founder once said, human rights must be made a fact, not anti-realistic dream. With this grand opening today, we can now say, yes, Mr. Hubbard, we're turning your dream into reality.
This is a new start. This is the beginning. Now the goal is boom this place.
Avalanche is going. Okay, the snowball is rolling down the hill now.
We have an incredible big team, and we have the best location on earth.
Across the street are like 40 or 50,000 students.
And they're going to have the opportunity to come here, become Scientologists.
They're going to cognite, they're going to get on the right line, on the right course, on the right service, off like a rocket.
And so the impact that this org can create extends far beyond Austin.
It's just going to explode.
In a good way. The organization needed to clear the country of Texas and thereby the whole entire world.
Barely 6 days after the ribbon cascaded down in Austin, and 1,000 miles due south, we arrive at yet another capital city, the oldest capital city in all of Latin America, and the largest Spanish-speaking city on Earth. She began as a special project from FLAG, and in fact was the first ever Spanish translations unit. The COM course, HQS course, and Student Hat, all of those courses came from this org before it was even an official org. And those translations, in turn, are what opened the Spanish-speaking world to Scientology. Today, Mexico City is already home to one ideal org. Now let's make it two, for this is the first all-Golden Age org in Latin American history. This is Delv. She begins with Mexico's newest heroes, primed to carry on a legacy of liberation. Delv's FEBC executives collectively boasting over 200 years of staff experience, including 9 clearers. And now they march to a Latin beat with a triumphant stride to conquer their beloved and magical city of palaces. And this is where things happen. Just a few blocks from both the city's soccer stadium and the largest bull ring in the country, this is the new Church of Scientology, Delv. Towering above the local skyline, she can be seen from a mile in every direction, embodying both ancient and modern Mexico in design. The welcome begins immediately in the ground floor reception and continues in the Public Information Center, where visitors will find an introduction to LRH and all other Scientology materials. The chapel also serves as home for local organizations with a shared goal for community improvement. The Cafe Delv serves fiery and flavorful local favorites, which can be enjoyed on the spectacular rooftop terrace, with the sights and sounds of the world's 5th most populated city below. An expansive view awaits from her Purif, coupled with a mural that pays tribute to the national sport of soccer. There's yet another striking vantage point from her spectacular St. Hill-sized complement of auditing rooms, and through their uniquely designed slanted windows. And all while her 16 course rooms are ideal incarnate. Finally, there's the LRH office, in tribute to the fact that Delv is now a beacon of sorts, and thereby rises to inspire the future of a clear Mexico. And spearheading that future is Delv's Day and Foundation staff, numbering 165. And there you have it, your new ideal org and Church of Scientology, Delv. On a subtropical winter night, mariachis played and the streets rang with the united Viva Mexico as the newest ideal org in the Americas became a reality. In addition to international executives, those taking the stage included Mr. Christian Padilla from the National Consciousness for Religious Freedom Foundation. He works to empower every faith with a way to happiness. Congressman Luis Zamora Romero. He designs and energizes movements spreading the importance of human rights for all. Mr. Fabian Aranda Garcia, legal advisor to Mexico's National Human Rights Commission. He vows to protect the freedom of every citizen with CCHR. And finally, Father Manuel Corral, Executive Secretary of Mexico's Catholic Church. He preaches the unity of all religions in a brotherhood of the Spirit. Then there were those who went and did it. Those who made this movement actually move. Those who rode at the vanguard of Delv's advance to freedom. Ideal Civilization Builders, the Mexico Alliance, led by OT Ambassador Ruthie Land. Gold Civilization Builder, Barbara Santos, on behalf of her beloved family. Platinum Humanitarians, the indomitable Renee and Monica Carrion. New Civilization Builders, the always visionary Hafif family. New Civilization Builders with honors, the ever-dynamic team players Pepe and Adela Catan. Silver Civilization Builders and frontline forces, the Mendoza-Matan family. Quadruple Humanitarians and well-traveled human dynamos, Alejandro Palacios and Marisol Benitez. Gold Civilization Builders and omnipresent doer, the unparalleled Tom and Victoria Cummins. Gold Civilization Builders and the proverbial voice of Mexico, the illustrious Marcos and Debbie Salame. And finally, Ideal Civilization Builders who deliver the message to Garcia, the incomparable Clem and Racine Agami, Moises and Rosine Agami, and Vivian Romano. At which point, the door swung open wide and the multitudes rushed in to see their new home, all as Mexican dailies proclaimed, Mexico's night sky lights up with new Scientology church for Del Valle. And so, I give you the evening when the Church of Scientology, Del Valle, was consecrated as the first all-Golden Age org in Latin American history.
Este día en nuestra Ciudad de México es tan especial para mí como lo es para ustedes. Muchas felicidades por su nueva iglesia de Scientology aquí en la Colonia del Valle. A lo largo de las 1800 colonias de la Ciudad de México, estamos unidos por un mosaico de realidades y de creencias, por reglas y valores compartidos por todos. Estos valores nos dan la libertad de vivir las vidas que elegimos, incluso de creer en la fe que elegimos. Si los valores son tan importantes para todos, ¿qué hacemos entonces para fortalecerlos hasta que tengamos la ciudad que deseamos? Bueno, descubrí la solución. La respuesta se encuentra en el viaje transformador e inspirador del camino a la felicidad de L. Ronald Hubbard. L. Ronald Hubbard escribió un lenguaje universal, el lenguaje de los valores. Y le debemos a la humanidad el compartirle a la gente de todos los orígenes de cada fe, de todas partes, estos preceptos y valores. Y decirles, tú también puedes descubrir tu propio camino a la felicidad.
Estoy aquí para decirles que con la iglesia de Scientology vamos a mostrarle a México dónde pueden encontrar sus derechos humanos de una vez por todas. Busqué por cielo y tierra formas de presentarle a la gente sus derechos humanos, hasta que lo encontré a ustedes. Compartimos la creencia de los derechos humanos. No son solo derechos, son un deber de cada persona. Por eso, les hemos enseñado los derechos humanos tanto a las víctimas como a aquellos que los violan. Asesinos en las peores cárceles de México y más de 800 funcionarios de gobierno. Incluso llevamos a cabo una celebración nacional el Día de la Juventud con más de 7,000 asistentes. Juntos pusimos 9,000 folletos de derechos humanos en el suelo para deletrear "Conoce tus derechos humanos". Y así creamos la oración más larga en la historia. Y al hacer eso, no solamente demostramos nuestra dedicación colectiva, establecimos un récord Guinness mundial. Y así, juntos, pronto estableceremos otro récord mundial como el movimiento más grande en derechos humanos en la Tierra.
Entonces, ¿hay esperanza? Sí, sí la hay. Se llama la Iglesia de Scientology. La búsqueda por justicia es lo que impulsó mi desafío más importante, y por ello mi asociación con la Iglesia de Scientology y CCHR. Fue cuando una nueva ley declaró que un médico puede encerrar a un individuo y decidir que ya no puede determinar el futuro de su propia salud, su dinero, su educación, porque ante los ojos de la ley simplemente vale ser. Entonces, si yo no luchaba contra esto, no era una víctima, era un cómplice. Así que con ustedes fuimos directamente al Congreso de la Nación. Presentamos nuestros casos y les dimos los hechos a los líderes de México. Y con el futuro de miles, incluso millones pendiendo de un hilo, ganamos y esa ley totalitaria fue cancelada. Tienen mi palabra de que voy a estar con ustedes a la vanguardia. De hecho, es mi gran deseo trabajar en nombre de este movimiento todo el día y toda la noche hasta que el trabajo esté terminado.
Los recursos, la disciplina y su liderazgo, esto es algo único. Un Scientologist cree que ayudar a otro es una condición innata. Ustedes lo viven, lo sienten y lo experimentan. Y de esa manera ustedes hacen lo mejor en cualquier cosa que hacen. Y eso me gusta. Es hora de no hacer distinciones entre ningún credo. Puede que tengamos ideologías diferentes, pero todos debemos luchar como uno. Y con toda acción ustedes han demostrado una auténtica unidad religiosa y de manera efectiva han unido las religiones. Ahora este es mi sueño hecho realidad y este es el sueño de su fundador hecho realidad. Así que al celebrar esta gloriosa iglesia de Scientology, soñamos con una ciudad mejor de México, un México brillante y en honor al señor Hubbard, hagámoslo realidad juntos. Muchas gracias.
Hoy inicia una honor era en México, porque Scientology está aquí y está en la del Valle, que es el lugar más importante en la Ciudad de México.
Va a ayudar a ser este faro de esperanza, porque la gente está buscando algo que resuene con su propio ser, ¿no?
Que vamos a poder crear más seres libres, más felicidad.
Las ganancias maravillosas que toda esta gente va a tener cuando venga. Las sonrisas.
Pues nosotros estamos abriendo una. Ya estamos poniendo el camino para la siguiente que ya viene en camino.
Un honor y un privilegio dándole para Puebla, Polanco, Vade, Buenos Aires, La EO.
Y hoy arrancamos con la era dorada de la tecnología de administración. Estamos completos.
Vamos a hacer que Scientology se expanda como nunca en la historia aquí en México.
Aquí estamos y nosotros podemos y vamos a ganar.
Now, catch your breath, because just 2 days later, we went from being that close to a bull ring to being in the home of the bulls, the Bears, and the best big city in the U.S. After this city famously burnt to the ground, they built it all over again, and when they needed clean water, they made their river run backwards. But beyond any of this city's past glories and engineering feats, there is something far more profound: our history. From a handful of briefing course graduates banding together to form a first group, to the formation of a full-fledged Church of Scientology, incorporated in 1974. And so, this grand opening coincides with her 50th year, a celebration of a golden anniversary for Chicago. It all starts with your newly minted FEBC executives, including 9 classed auditors and 10 clearers, who all but epitomize the resolute spirit that defines the city of big shoulders, and who are as imposing as the Chicago skyline and as welcoming as deep dish pizza. Chicago's bustling downtown core is known as the Loop, and on Printers Row, the historic hub of the Midwest print industry, there now stands the new Church of Scientology, Chicago. Our iconic Ideal Org building dates back more than a century, while today she's been lovingly brought back to life with the facade meticulously restored down to the repointing of every brick. Hence, behold the revival of all her intricate detail to its original splendor, from her Art Deco terracotta to her terrazzo exterior facing heavily trafficked Clark Street. Then there's her breathtaking interior staircase, restored to how it looked 110 years ago, with its pink Tennessee marble and wrought iron balustrades, and these stunning original stained glass windows. As early 20th century artistry converges with 21st century Scientology, Chicago's reception opens directly into her public information center and seamlessly leads to her street-side 4-star cafe, a nod to the city's flag. In her exquisite bookstore, there's something for all Chicagoans, with LRH materials available in multiple languages. Then there's her state-of-the-art purification center, adorned with an original Windy City mural. Her St. Hill-sized Hubbard Guidance Center provides one of many expansive views of the city. Meanwhile, the training department occupies an entire floor, and here you can see one of her 15 course rooms. Her Ideal Chapel will host Scientologists for events and services, as well as welcoming civic groups from all over town. Finally, there's the office of LRH, the very genesis of this first all Golden Age org in Midwest history, and today she is ready to serve Chicagoland with her 138-man day and foundation staff. So yes, that's your new ideal org and Church of Scientology, Chicago. When you hear Chicago in winter, you think of freezing temperature, ice, snow, and maybe even more snow. Yet showing no respect for Messed Universe rules, when Scientology comes to open her doors, Chicago welcomes her with the pure magic of an unprecedented 70-degree March afternoon, on the very day when Chi-Town became known as I-Town as an ideal. But before that blue ribbon dropped, in addition to international executives, those ascending to the podium included Mr. Rob Fioretti, Chicago City Alderman. He's a champion for this corner of the South Loop, who now stands in our corner too. Mr. Norman White from the Chicago Commission on Human Relations. He counts the church as a go-to partner in his crusade for a safer city. Mr. Kweli Kwaza, representing a network of community block clubs. He's all about building a better Chicago, block by block. Lastly, Dr. Gwen Appleberry, citizen advisor to the Chicago Police Department. She's also a pastor who proudly preaches the word of LRH. Also prominently in attendance were those humanitarians who built this sweet home Chicago. And they included Gold Humanitarians Carla Nelson, who drove this org as ED for 25 years, and husband Howard Mock. New Civilization Builders for the Ages, the mythical Tina and Alex Alamis. Two more New Civilization Builders, Midwestern Mavericks Roy Finley and Kathy Stone. Another pair of New Civilization Builders, Chicago's new King and Queen, Lynn Ward and Sedalia De Silva. Still more New Civilization Builders and generational leaders, Joe and Sarah Sakala and family. New Civilization Builders with honors, Miracle Makers, Greg Weiss and Ksenia Sun. New Civilization Builder with honors and true hometown hero, the unwavering Jim Bridgeforth. Silver Civilization Builder, the incendiary Minu Man. New Civilization Builders with honors and Windy City diehards, the always ready Rebecca and Dominic Casano. Ideal Civilization Builders, the ubiquitous Over the Ramparts, Tom and Victoria Cummins. And finally, the man who answered the call in 2004 and never let up, driving to this very moment, Silver Civilization Builders, the invincible Jeff McGee and Ann Delv. Whereupon all present entered the newest landmark on Chicago's skyline, with headlines reading, Church of Scientology expands in Chicago. Well, if only to put you in the moment, I give you that warm winter day when a ribbon fell on a Midwestern monument in our all golden age.
Thank you very much. Designs born here define the skylines of America and indeed the skylines of the world. And what's awesome about the Church of Scientology is that you did it. You understand the character of this city on so many levels. I know because as a city councilor, I fought with you to secure this heritage site. And through your co-endeavor, I watched as the church restored this landmark to her 1915 splendor. More than 25,000 hours were invested. 25,000 hours. And let me tell you, every second, every minute, and every hour is proof that you are the prized and trusted custodians of this city. Inside, you offer our neighborhoods what they desperately need. Workshops on life skills, courses teaching fundamentals for living, for motivation, for reaching your goals, or even just a word of advice and reassurance. So congratulations, you've created a new center for people to realize their full potential right here in the heart of it all.
No matter what, whether it's blacks, whites, Latinos, or Asians, the way I see it, we're a human family. Come on, bring it up. And that family has a commitment to help one another, no matter what. Which brings me to today. Because when it comes to a genuine and loyal partner, a partner who offers an outstretched hand to anyone and everyone in our great city, well, today we're talking about your Scientology volunteer minister. For many years, we have all known that when the pressure begins to cook, the Church of Scientology and your volunteer ministers stand their ground. And mid-pandemic, I witnessed it again. I came and I saw your Brief Breath in Eternity event. And I was damn impressed. Still am. You guys were on top of it. As a result, thousands of Chicagoans were able to stay well. So yes, this was personal to me and personal to my city. Because from Lakeview and Logan Square to the West Loop, you have been keeping all of Chicago safe.
Yes, you've been doing the real work. In fact, I still remember how you even had the courtesy to ask if we would like some help. Now, no one asked that. I'm like, who are these people? Well, I'll tell you who they are. Those who I depend upon. Those whose work I know and I trust. Those who I have no question about. Because if you say you're going to do something or get something done, it gets done. And it gets done on time. I had been working with you in our neighborhoods, but then I discovered your humanitarian programs, and I said, wait a second, you've been holding out on me. I realized I didn't need to reinvent the wheel because you had already created multiple miracles, the way to happiness, to show you how to stay on the right side of life, drug-free world, to give our kids booklets that are a passport to a better life, and even human rights to show that empowerment is not a favor, it's a right. And so, if you don't mind, I'd like to hold our Block Club convention for all of Chicago right inside these doors.
Now all you have to do is invite the people in. I know they're curious. Even my own congregation asks me, Pastor, what's happening down at the Church of Scientology when you go? And they know they need to go because L. Ron Hubbard talks to the age of wisdom. People can read what he has written and absorb it and recharge their enthusiasm for life. It's what I call the booster shot of living. The booster shot of living. The Church of Scientology, they get immediately hit with an energy. I attend your events, and I keep looking around the room just to soak it all in. Soak it all in. It makes you keep coming back. Yeah. And I always bring someone with me because I want them to see it for themselves. So let me tell you, you're precisely what downtown needs. Yeah. They don't know what's coming because we're going to light up the South End. Yes! Yes! Here's a new beginning, a bright new dawn, a moment to celebrate. It's the eve of Mr. Hubbard's birthday after all. And what stands before us is a bright, shiny birthday present, an eternal gift to the city of Chicago. Thank you very much.
This day is epic. It culminates a week of epicness.
This Ellery's birthday event will mark the beginning of a new era.
That program we pulled out there, that was yeah, Chicago is a world-class city. Had to have an ideal one.
Is now going to have in its hub an emanation point for truth.
Take a brand new guy and just like turn the lights on.
Change is a-coming, and it's starting from Chicago.
It's going to go boom in a big crescendo.
I feel like I have done something to create a new civilization.
The spark that's going to ignite a whole nother universe.
The scent can ripple across the U.S., northeast, south, and west.
It's going to influence every zone, and we can actually generate planetary clearing from the city.
And with that, we arrive at another vantage point, this one encompassing the eternal gift LRH most wished for on this night. Which is to say, if we all want to have the universe back in native state and impervious to the traps of yesteryear, it all depends on speed of expansion. Which is why LRH created that race synonymous with thinking big and thinking in futures. His birthday game for a cleared planet. And here's a video presentation of just how it's played and so dramatically won.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, the LRH birthday game race. But before we call the winners, we have got to review the rules of the birthday game. You see, when LRH was asked what he wanted for his birthday, he said he didn't want a new tie. Oh, he didn't want a chocolate cake. The only gift LRH asked for was expansion. And let me show you how we give him that gift. Remember, the birthday game truly is a race for expansion. And an org's expansion is measured by its statistics. Every week, birthday game points are awarded based on the upward trend of an org's stats. The steeper the graph, the higher the points. Each week, the points for each division are added together to get the org's total score. Week by week, lap by lap, the points add up. And the great thing about this game is it's any horse's race. Because it's not a matter of how small or large an org is at the starting line, but how great its relative rate of expansion. Every year, 4 classes of riders make a run for the winner's circle. Missions versus missions, orgs against orgs, Sea Org orgs compete, and Continental offices go head-to-head. Now, every team on the track follows the strategy from LRH himself. Think big. Think in futures. And it's all in the name of expansion. Whoa! Because it's upon expansion that victory depends. And the winning horse will come lickety-split down the track with a big horseshoe wreath, the Winner's Cup, the flashing lights of TV crews, and the grinning, cheering, kissing girls. And they'll put their racing silks in the museum, proudly labeled the Org That Won. Now it's time to meet today's competitors.
And now to present this year's Tournament of Champions, I give you, from the International Management Public Relations Office, Mr. Nicholas Banks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. In this golden age of administration, LRH's birthday game takes on an entirely new meaning. And while FEBC teams were in training at Flag, nothing stopped on this game, because staff around the world have been on a flat-out sprint to make their org proud. As for how that action played out on the turf, we will now proceed league by league, beginning with missions. They represent our pioneer force serving as frontline gateways to the bridge. Missions compete in every continental zone for their con championship, and in turn, those champions race for the worldwide trophy. So with that, I give you our 2024 victors. The first is a contender from our northern track, welcoming a multi-ethnic mix onto introductory routes, thereby doubling individuals moving up to orgs. And sliding in as con champion, they're Toronto's Riverdale Rockers. Next is an all-new challenger from Africa's Mountain Gateway in Tanzania. And you're looking at their nation's first ever Pure delivery, so earning their first Continental prize, their Africa's mission of Moshi. Seizing the UK crown is a racer from the Commonwealth realms of India. Among their delivery set is the survival rundown, where ours now top 5,000. So yes, that's New Delhi mission taking the top honors in the UK. Hanzo's Con Champion is an ideal mission in Taiwan's metropolis of Taichung. They clock in another life improvement course completion every 3 days. Now factor in their planet-clearing club of FSMs, and that's how they drove a Book 1 advance as 24-time World Bookathon champions, the Xi'an mission of Taiwan. Now East US winner is your perennial frontrunner, and this is how they rule the track. A purification center running at capacity, and releases topping the 200 mark. So tearing up the turf yet again, their Florida's ideal mission of Bel Air. Now West US Victor runs along California's Sunshine Coast. They regularly hold webinars for an immediate introduction to Dianetics and Scientology, and thus placing over 800 LRH books in public hands. Well, altogether, they further propelled a doubling of those moving up the bridge. So yes, that's the ideal mission of South Coast, powering home to take 3rd place in the world. Advancing to the European circuit, we come to an ideal mission who rides with Bergamo style. That style launched them into this year's race fresh from their grand victory. While through their force of 18 power FSMs, they usher 250 individuals up the grade chart every single week, making for a doubling of overall mission delivery. So yes, that's the unstoppable sprint of Bergamo, earning 2nd place in the world. Finally, we come to a Latin American mission universally known as the Guardians of the Center of the World. Their story begins with a surge of individuals through their doors, making for personal efficiency completion surpassing 600. Then again, they further generated more than 800 crossing the threshold onto the bridge itself. And thus they drove highest ever well-done auditing hours and a tripling of mission-wide delivery, all of which they just crowned with the dedication of their ideal mission premises. So yes, that's the fiery finish of your first-time world champion, the ideal mission of Quito, Ecuador.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Es un honor recibir este premio en nombre del público y staff de la misión de Quito en Ecuador. Me uní al staff hace 24 años con la intención de expandir la tecnología en mi hermoso país. Desde que me volví Mission Holder, he tenido el privilegio de trabajar con el staff para jugar el juego de cumpleaños con pasión y propósito. Nuestra nación realmente necesita la tecnología y tenemos la responsabilidad de llevarla a cada rincón del Ecuador. Ahora que hemos abierto nuestra misión ideal, nada nos puede parar y solo estamos comenzando. otras misiones que comparten el escenario conmigo esta noche. Ustedes me hacen jugar más fuerte. Gracias a mi familia y a mi esposo, quienes han sido mi fuente de apoyo, mi inspiración y mi todo. Gracias a la ID, ejecutivos y staff de la misión de Quito. Tienen mi admiración y amor por siempre. Quiero agradecer a COB y RTC por mantener la tecnología pura y mantener las puertas abiertas para la libertad. Gracias, Señor. Y por supuesto a LDH. El horizonte es nuevo y el juego es siempre más grande. Y esto va alineado con nuestro lema: vamos por más, muchísimo más. Y así traer el otro año, otra vez, campeones mundiales. ¡Feliz cumpleaños, Seth!
We next advance to the league of our Class 5 Central Orgs. And let's just say there has never been a race so hotly contended. So in keeping with time-honored tradition, we will move up the worldwide standings, revealing each champion continent by continent until we crown a Class 5 international victor. To begin, we head to the Great White North, where rides a team known as the Power Machine. You're an all-weather champion propelling a dissemination advance across iconic Old Town, altogether distributing better than 12,000 OCAs into pedestrian crowds, all of which drove the curious through their doors, fueling a highest ever for LRH books into new people's hands. While across their delivery engine, they ignited a doubling of individuals ascending the Great Chart, so skating in for Canada's top prize, the Idle Org of Quebec. Next, we cross the equator to Latin America's red-hot circuit. These victors call themselves Kings of the Mountain, and they're all about driving their fellow Colombians across the threshold to discover Scientology. Well, this is how they hit their winning stride: a golden age of knowledge completion every 5 hours, and tripling new auditors made. Yet for the grandstand view of their passionate performance, I give you a National Day of Religious Freedom event, consecrated by Colombia's president himself. And yes, that is the org's Director of Special Affairs introducing our message to live again, airing to 10,000 citizens. So yes, that's the breathless ride of Latam's con champion, the Idle Org of Bogota. Whereupon we advance to that grand race course crisscrossing the British Isles, and a high-stepping team known as the Titans. They command regal stature at the epicenter of the United Kingdom, welcoming people from all across this planet's social spectrum. In fact, servicing more than 50 nationalities through the last year. Although what most distinguishes this org is its Academy Alliance training movement, driving a doubling of co-audit hours. While in full, they racked up better than 800 service completions. So yes, taking the Continental crown, and now helmed by their own FEBC executive team, they're the Idle Org of London. Next, we move to the track of big game riders from the East US. Thundering in to lead the field is a contender better known as the Storm. Indeed, they lit up the race, spreading the news of Scientology with Scientology Network on local Channel 5, and all of which drove floods of the curious inside their doors and onto first services, thereby tripling individuals discovering LRH tech, while they doubled those attesting to the state of clear. So yes, storming in for the Continental #1, and now led by their fully trained FEBC executive team, they're the lightning fast Idle Org of Tampa. Then there's that course traversing a far-off savannah, bounding to the front of the pack as a thoroughbred you know as the Force from the North. The technical potential is to generate a groundswell of new people ascending the grade chart, nearly 500 on average every week, and who in turn invite still more to embark on their own journey. And so you're looking at a boom along every introductory route. In fact, more than 2,000 taking their first steps on the bridge just this year. Add to that a commensurate surge along the mainline bridge for an overall doubling of ore delivery. And yes, that's how they leapt in to take Continental #1, the Ideal Org of Johannesburg North. And with that, we come to a galloping track counting the spirited Mustangs of the West US. These Stars of the North blazed onto the race course right from the get-go, beginning with their Destination Scientology episode broadcasting their story across the heartland. Although, if you want to know where this org really lives, it's their Minnesota-made movement for academy training. Inspired by their Yo Baby spirit, they generate highest ever number of co-audit hours in their history, and ultimately another grade chart completion every 3 days. So yes, that's how they rose to Continental champions and third place in the world, the Ideal Org Stars of Twin Cities. We next land in a continent of old world cultures. Leading the field is an Italian team who harness what they call the Force. And they wield that force to make their home a home for the entire community, launching a parade of events and open houses for local residents, thereby introducing them to the full scope of what we can do and at highest ever levels. Meanwhile, here's how they deliver a true renaissance in our golden age. From first bridge steps on purification to survival rundown with a quadrupling of co-audit hours. And as pre-clears ascend step by step in their HGC, you're looking at a release or clear every other day and overall delivery reaching highest in history. So yes, that's the triumphant finish of the Ideal Org of Padova, not only Europe's Continental #1, but also second place in the world. With that, we come to the formidable course of dauntless riders circling the Pacific, and our final stop where we now crown our international victor. This year's champion is a mighty thoroughbred if ever there was one. They ride under the moniker the Dragons, and here's how they seize the lead to celebrate their 10th anniversary year. First, introducing individuals to LRH Wisdom, completing better than 700 Golden Age of Knowledge courses. This org likewise runs a well-muscled academy, training technical teams for no less than 17 missions and field groups, and all told giving rise to a new academy completion every single day. While along the processing side, they also think big, as in the largest objectives co-audit of any Class 5 org on Earth, with more than 130 survival rundown completions, and further up the line on the glorious ascent to the state of clear. While on that count, you're looking at a clearing juggernaut, with another clear attesting every other week, and indeed better than 700 since their grand opening. So yes, that's how they roared in to become not only first ever Continental Cup champions, but first-time champions of the world, the Ideal Org Dragons of Kaohsiung.
Thank you very much. We are incredibly proud to win this game. Expansion for LH is the reason we wanted to win. And here, we stand as world champions of his birthday game. When we saw the 2023 LH birthday celebration, we immediately used the event to sign up highest ever new staff. And we were determined to win the game to give LH a beautiful gift from Asia. Because we want to bring peace and center to this area, which very much need LH's wisdom. So we operated with simple and massive outflow. Thanks to COP, we have everything we need for expansion in our ideal org facilities. So we work day and night to use these facilities to pack our org with public. As Kaohsiung is the first and only ideal org in the Chinese-speaking world, we are responsible for 1 billion people. It is a huge job. Huge. Thank you. Thanks. But we are determined to make it. So we know we have to expand the org fast. And tonight's victory is proof that we can do it. I want to acknowledge our fellow competitor, Padova org. It has been a pleasure to play with you. And very well done for your race. For this victory, I want to thank our incredible day and foundation teams, which made things go right to expand no matter what. I'm very honored to work with all of you. Thank you to our OT committee and field Scientologists. You have been extremely supportive of the org and did everything possible to help us win this game. To CLO, Enzo, and international management for their continuous guidance and help toward our org expansion. To the IAS, without you, the Kaohsiung Ideal Org would not even be here. I want to especially express my appreciation to Chairman of the Board, RTC, who has cared for us and given us the biggest support all the way since the very beginning. Thank you, sir. Finally, to LH, I wish to give our greatest thanks to you, the best friend mankind has ever known. Sir, you embrace the wisdom of Asia, and you turn the wisdom into a great fire of reason and freedom for all. This victory is from us to you. Happy birthday, sir.
Next, we enter that race course leading straight to infinity, the League of our Sea Org Service Orgs. So moving right to the scoreboard, let me present one by one your third, second, and first place winners, beginning with number 3. They command universal respect as a Legion of Knights, And given they carry a storied legacy as LRH's home, these veteran officers and crew welcome Scientologists from across the Commonwealth and beyond. Consequently, they're honed for maximum delivery in their academy, training auditors from across the intercontinental spread. Then again, that's also how this AO racked up more than 4,000 co-audit hours and made a new auditor every day. Now combine that with a packed out solo HGC, and you're looking at a solo OT completion every day and another attesting to new OT5 every other day. But even those numbers are destined to rise, since they count another veteran team now on FEBC training at Flag. So yes, bolting in for a third place show finish, they're the Advanced Oregon St. Hill United Kingdom. Whereupon we head to the top 2 positions for our Sea Org League. And to put this race into perspective, after 52 weeks, these last contenders were tied on 2,150 points. So after the final sprint to the wire, here's who can stand tall as second place in the world. They're a high-octane contender who go by the title Top Guns. And their flight deck is the Pacifica Bridge right on L. Ron Hubbard Way. Accordingly, they clock in a solo course completion every other day, while they boast a flight crew of 155 solo auditors weekly, all of which makes for an all-star class stacking up more than 90,000 solo hours, and with nearly 30 Class 9 auditors in the wings, here is how they break the sound barrier on the trajectory to full OT. 145,000 well-done auditing hours, and an OT level completion every 6 hours. But if you want their photo finish Hollywood style, you're looking at a grand total of 1,500 Great Chart completions. While to propel even greater expansion, their FEBC executive team is now in training at Flag for imminent liftoff. So yes, closing in fast to take second place, they're the high-flying Advanced Org of Los Angeles. And with that, we come to your 2024 Sea Org League victor. The race was neck and neck right to the finish line, whereupon it was a photo finish, with race judges confirming their victory by a nose. Literally by a single point. And so, who now stand as your undeniable world champion? They glide in from down under as the White Pointer Sharks. They serve a zone extending from Australia to New Zealand and all along the Pacific Rim. While this past year they reached farther than ever, drawing record numbers from across their zone, and all of which propelled high-volume OT delivery that looked like this. Highest ever solo OT level completions, a doubling of auditing hours on net for OTs, a commensurate doubling of new OT5 completions, altogether equating to a new bridge step every other hour, and all while they prep for limitless expansion with an FEBC executive team training at Flag. So yes, that's how they swept in to take first place, your 2024 Sea Org League World Champions, the Advanced Oregon St. Hill Anzo.
It is a great privilege to accept this trophy on behalf of the executives and crew of the Advanced Organization in Sand Hill Enzo. To begin, I wish to acknowledge every Sea Org captain, and in particular, AOLA. You fought a tough race, and since we are playing for a cleared planet, our victory is your victory too. Thank you. At AOSH Enzo, we are responsible for moving public up the bridge across a massive zone. And though the size and scope would seem daunting, the true spirit of the White Pointers is expressed in our motto: we fear nobody and nothing. Down under, we are definitely competitive. Indeed, we launched this birthday game year with a decision to win whatever it takes. And given we are responsible for such a wide area, the key was aligning all forces with the purpose to expand Scientology and make OTs. Every staff member applied LRH tech and policy to the letter. And this victory tonight is the result. A giant step towards our mission of clearing Enzo. There are many to acknowledge for this trophy. To our Enzo public, FSMs, and our mighty OT committee, who played shoulder to shoulder with the Sea Org crew, you share this championship with us tonight. To the executives and crew of the Enzo base, it is an honor to be part of the Enzo team, and your dedication to making OTs opened the door for thousands to ascend the bridge. To Chairman of the Board RTC, our appreciation for you is infinite. It is your tireless work in creating this golden age that makes it even possible to expand our orgs and thus bring about a new civilization. Your guidance has kept us on the carefully taped path laid out by LRH. Thank you, sir. To LRH, our Commodore, at the inception of AO Enzo, you said to use this new advanced org with pride and determination. And tonight is our answer to you. It is a testament to us living out your words and staying true to your tech. We pledge to continue our mission of expansion until this job is done. Happy birthday, sir.
Finally, we arrive at the League about Management Continental liaison offices. Their purpose is to coordinate and execute international strategic planning across every sector of LRH technology in their geographic zone, from organizations to missions and I-Help groups, not to mention Able and Wise. So with that, let's go to our top 3 champions, beginning with third place. They oversee the continent known as the cradle of civilization, while as the generation point of their now legendary force of volunteer ministers, this CLO directs and coordinates a VM army now surpassing the 25,000 mark, and all of which flows to the bridge itself at their network of idle orgs across Gauteng province. You previously saw their con winner at Johannesburg North. Now add to that Pretoria, where they quadrupled those stepping onto the Grey Chart, and Johannesburg, where they multiplied auditors made 5 times over. But of course, it's all toward moving their entire field to the heights of OT at their advanced org, where Scientologists ascending the Grey Chart hit highest ever. So yes, that's how they took this year's 3rd place prize, the Lions of the Continental Liaison Office of Africa. Next, we advance to our number 2 finalists. They oversee a multilingual domain of 15 idle orgs. You just saw their con champion in Padova. Now further factor in Denmark, where they multiplied books into new people's hands 4 times over. Malmo, with a quadrupling of individuals discovering Scientology. Amsterdam, where they tripled purification rundown completions. Brussels, where they doubled those embarking on the bridge. Stuttgart, with another doubling for academy completions. Hamburg, with a routes to knowledge completion every other day. And Berlin, with a 2-fold increase in new auditors. There's more in Basel, with a doubling of those introduced to LRH Tech. Madrid, where they tripled auditors made. Tel Aviv, where they multiplied academy completions. Budapest, with a survival rundown completion every 3 days. Rome, where they doubled LRH books to new individuals. And Milano, where they tallied 1,300 gray chart completions. All of which fueled Scientologists arriving to their advanced org for a release, clear, or OT completion every other hour, while they count FEBC executive teams now in training from across their continent. So yes, that's how they rushed in to take second place, the Vikings of the Continental Liaison Office of Europe. And with that, we come to our world champion CLO, known as the Wind Splitters. You just saw their Continental victor at Twin Cities. Now add to that, the Valley holding an event or open house every other day. Inglewood, with a doubling of books into new public hands. Pasadena, where they quadrupled those embarking on the bridge. Ventura, where it was a doubling of individuals moving up the grade chart. San Diego, where they doubled student points. Orange County, where they tripled new releases. Sacramento, with a tripling of well-done auditing hours. Silicon Valley, where they tallied 1.7 million student points. San Francisco, with an academy completion every week. Stevens Creek, where they drew highest ever event attendees. Los Gatos, with a 2-fold increase in individuals ascending the bridge. Portland, where they tripled new people discovering Scientology. And Seattle, where they held better than 100 local events. Then there's Denver, where purification completions multiplied 2 times over. Salt Lake City, where they doubled introductory routes completions. Las Vegas, where they likewise doubled those moving up the grade chart. Phoenix, where releases also multiplied 2 times over. Kansas City, where they doubled purification rundown delivery. Dallas, with a 3-fold increase in Golden Age of Knowledge completions. Add to that their latest ideal org in Austin, and you're looking at 24 ideal orgs in all, plus FEBC executive teams now in training at Flag from across their territory. So yes, that's how they charged in as champions of the world, the Continental Liaison Office of the West US.
I don't like to brag. Well, maybe a little. I stand here on this stage honored to have taken our continent to now 10 birthday game victories. Team, tied together by our goal to accomplish command intention. And tonight represents our dedication to ideal orgs, to ensure every being in our zone makes it up the bridge to full OT. In the West US, we truly live the ideal org strategy. And we are proud, definitely proud of the fact that from San Francisco to now Austin, we have created more ideal orgs than any other continent on Earth. We do this by working every day to live up to our slogan, West US is best. But we couldn't do that without the team that makes us so. Our nearly 500 OT ambassadors, our more than 1,000 OT committee members, and 3,000 FSMs, all of you are riding right there with us. And now united, we have our sights on our 3 final ideal orgs, so we can next lay claim to being the first ideal continent. In this year's race, we face great competition across all continents. You all challenged us to expand even more. And it's been a pleasure to play alongside such strong rivals, and it makes tonight even more important. Thank you to our awesome CLO team. Each of you have contributed to this Continental win. My utmost gratitude to Chairman of the Board, RTC. Our accomplishments this year are due to your leadership, and we are privileged to have you at the helm. Thank you, sir. And to LRH, you mapped the road out for mankind, and you showed us how to point the way with ideal orgs. Well, sir, we pledge to continue to forward your legacy, and so place permanent islands of freedom embodying that legacy where one and all can find their own freedom. Thank you, and happy birthday, sir.
With that, we arrive at another gift to top this night, and a crescendo to everything our movement represents today. A golden age of pure source, the length and width of the bridge, ideal orgs and facilities without compare to anything in our history, and now a golden age of administration that embraces it all. But with all that, there yet remains that final element requisite to planetary clearing, planetary dissemination. As LRA says, you have new news, and Dianetics and Scientology are good news. In fact, the best news man has ever had. Don't sit on it. That is our call to action. And while it is accomplished in myriad ways, from invitations across the internet to books in new public hands, and from enlightenment and ideal org information centers to Olympics, World Cup, and Super Bowl ads, the fact is, nothing better says orders of magnitude than Scientology network television. The facts are these. First, it is not just that an advertisement only plays for 1 minute, all while Scientology TV plays 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. Rather, it is also because Scientology Network reaches the entire planet, every continent, and across all 24 time zones. In fact, since network launch, our channel has been viewed in 242 nations and territories of Earth. But our reach out is one thing. Public reach in is quite another. Yes, visits to our Scientology homepage are through the roof. People are curious. But even more to the point is what those reaches are for. In the past, inquiries typically asked for more information about Scientology. Today, those requests are for Scientology. That is, reaching for the tech. Case in point, Scientology online course completions have now multiplied 200 times since network launch. And that's also why greater numbers are crossing our threshold than ever in history. Even more, and this previously unheard of, those walking through the doors are not even asking questions. They already know what service they want to take. So yes, it is a whole new world, and with next season's launch upon us, it's about to get even bigger still, and it looks like this.
The word Scientology means knowledge. That's all it means. Scientology contains a direction and it contains a goal. And the goal is simply a greater freedom for the individual. All it represents is the hope that man can find his own feet, can find himself in a very confused, mechanistic society, and can recover to himself some of the happiness, some of the sincerity, some of the love and kindness with which he was created.
Scientology is coming to TV. There's no agenda. The content. What will they air?
Right, so close your eyes.
Let's do it.
I'm an Eagle Scout dad, trader, model, archer.
My purpose is to inspire people to believe in the impossible. And hopefully they walk away and they go, wow, if that's possible, what else can I achieve in my life?
Is creation. We're looking for beauty.
You're not creating with yourself in mind, you're creating with other people in mind.
When you make people feel good, and then it makes other people feel good, you can actually change the world.
My friends, we're waiting for you. As we say it here, welcome home. Could we go sit somewhere nice?
You cannot expect to understand how it is until you're here.
Take a deep breath and get ready for some magic.
This church isn't about anything other than the person that just walked in.
And to actually make an impact that lasts.
When I find different things that are going to make the world a better place, I align with them.
Truth about drugs, we're here saving lives. It was just something that humanity needed. So I'm going to continue fighting, continue pushing, so everybody understands what it looks like to find their way.
While there are filmmakers that look for stories, this was a story that found a filmmaker.
If you feel like you have something to say to help the world be a better place, then figure out a way to do it.
No matter what you're going through, you can always come out of it on top.
There's probably nothing more important in the world right now than giving people some hope.
Every musician has something special, Matter of fact, every artist does. The music that touches people comes through compositions.
Ask Kelly.
That's how you make history.
involves freedom and freedom to create.
It's infinite possibility.
And with that, the time has come to look to the future, beginning with a proverbial cherry to crown this year's LRH birthday cake. Because with all the gifts we have bestowed tonight, there is still one present we haven't unwrapped yet. So, if you thought I missed it, well, I assure you, I did not. On the contrary, this is a gift so grand it required commensurately grand preparation to unwrap it. To start, this new ideal org combines two existing organizations. One, a Class 5 organization, the other, a celebrity center. And in combination will become a mega ideal organization. And if you haven't guessed it by now, well, c'est la vie, because this will be the Church of Scientology and Celebrity Center Paris. Yes, I know, anticipation has long since reached a fevered pitch. But don't forget we are building a masterpiece. And you don't tell Michelangelo to just use a bigger brush and wrap it up. In other words, we weren't about to cut corners at the 11th hour. And by that I mean the sheer scope of the building requires a phenomenal amount of groove-in. So yes, their FEBC team did fire, and yes, it's the largest FEBC team on Earth. So now, let me show you. Leading the charge in the name of a cleared France is Paris's tour de force FEBC executive team. This 21-man regiment is made up of no less than 19 clears and OTs, with a new OT5 ED day and a new OT7 ED foundation. Now back home, they marched united in the name of true liberty, equality, and fraternity. Meanwhile, adjacent to France's busiest highway stands their soon-to-open 95,000 square foot ideal church. Inside, the Paris staff celebrated the homecoming with a tricolor victory parade, after which the FEBC executive directors got right down to business, including drilling the new org board, preparing their 16 auditors, readying their 18 supervisors, and rehearsing their events team in the magnificent auditorium, doubling as a state-of-the-art performance venue. Whereupon her 6-story atrium rang with Viva Paris from a day in foundation staff 183 strong. As the saying goes, we almost have Paris, so let the countdown to grand opening begin, because we light up the City of Light on the 6th of April. And with that, we near the close of tonight in a few words before we enter our ever-expanding future. But before all that, I have a gift for you. Indeed, it is a gift in honor of LRH. A gift for all you do in helping make his dreams come true. and has so dramatically manifested in all that has been shown tonight. Then again, it's a gift on behalf of LRH. Indeed, words he wrote for you and as a proclamation to the whole wide world. That gift is LRH's handwritten immortal poem entitled, "We Are the Free People." And just as it was his everlasting message to every Scientologist, you will all receive your own personal copy of this handwritten poem at the close of tonight's event. So thank you. Thank you. And with that, let's take a final moment to behold what lies ahead. You just saw what is fast approaching in Paris, while nearing completion just over the horizon are Puerto Rico and Port Elizabeth, and all while our next ideal advanced organization rises as I speak. As LRH told us, if we are to accomplish our goals, it will only be because of our organizations. And that, my friends, is the essence of this birthday celebration and my final message to you this evening. Now, I initially thought I would close by telling you why this time in history, this exact moment, is the very best time ever to be a Scientologist. But I think you already know that. If tonight we celebrate a golden age across every forward advance of Scientology, you are now experiencing what you could call a golden age of being a Scientologist and of winning universal freedom. All of which is to say, with freedom comes great responsibility. So here's tonight's timeless proposition for thinking big and thinking in futures. In light of everything you are already doing to help power our movement ever forward, would I love to see each and every one of you on the front lines using LRH's betterment programs to the hilt? Most definitely. Would I love to see every one of you leading the charge in making your own or alliance or ideal? Well, absolutely.
Can you guys keep
Well,
quiet?
for that matter, would I love to see each of you in an ideal or a uniform ushering another onto the bridge to tell our freedom? Frankly, hell yes. But regardless of how you choose to wield your freedom, remember, there has never been more in place for you to give LRH the ultimate gift. His technology extended to others as an invitation to their own immortality. So, do take advantage. Do step up and take on your next role of responsibility. And do take your own next step. So you will win. And we will all win. And all as LRH wrote in his immortal poem. We are the free people. We have grown up to freedom, not senility. We are the free people. The Scientologist has left behind the claws and barriers of miscontrol. We are the free people. Grown from out the mud and jungle rot of fear, our unchained minds can reach afar and grasp the idea of ultimate freedom. Scientology, the road sign out. We are the free people. We live, we're free to LRH.
Thank you very much. Happy birthday, sir.
Oh, God.